Welcome to the Orange Flag Podcast. For the final time, it's race week for car number 6 in WEC. I'm Nicole.
I'm Austin.
I'm Aries. It's time for a film review.
Yes, Le Mans put out a film about Dries and Larry. I didn't know Le Mans was doing films.
No.
So that's fun.
Very fun.
It is about Dries and Larry, but it basically, opened with Kevin, so I had to mention that.
Of course.
Not even 20 seconds in, and boom, there's Kevin!
Yes, which then led to the rest of the 6 with confused Matt, because Matt is just always confused.
And the film was called Inside the Vanthoors, and I really, really want to know how this made it through the copy editors, because genuinely thought this might have been Larry's launch of his subscription only stuff that he talked about in Full Access, because that's what Inside the Vanthoors sounds like.
I've determined the editors 100% knew what they were doing with this, and they just ran with it, because that's the only excuse I can make for how this made it through.
Oh yeah, it gave us something to talk about. I'm pretty sure every single group chat that we're on about sports cars mentioned it at some point, and it was just collective laughter everywhere.
It really was.
Yes.
Who gives that title to an innocent documentary?
I want to give them the benefit of the doubt for the fact that the French made this, and maybe, when they wrote it in French, it made sense. But in English, it does not make sense. It is not, appropriate, shall we say, in English.
Well, speaking of English words, I was very confused, and I had to pause my film watching and go Google words. Larry at some point mentioned that Le Mans is something that he wants to add to his Palmares or something. And I was like, wait a minute, why is he talking about a Brazilian location? Because we have a place in Brazil that's called Palmares. So I was like, what in the world is he referring to? And then I had to look it up. Very interesting. The aim of
Don't worry.
my vocabulary is expanding.
Yeah, don't worry, you weren't the only one confused, because as a native English speaker, was also confused. I've determined, besides Kevin being a teacher, Larry, you are now an English teacher for everyone, too.
I am convinced that this is some word that he heard in a mandatory presentation he had to attend. Whether Porsche sent him or Audi sent him back when he drove for them, he heard some speaker say this word, and he was like, yup, that's a new word for me. And just waited until this moment, because it's not even a word that I've heard him say on Over the Limit. It's
No.
not one of those words that, he uses a lot or anything. Yeah. It was, teach us more words, Larry. We would like to learn more words from you, actually.
We need an English word of the week from Larry.
Agreed. I would watch
Larry's
that.
word of the week.
Yeah.
Yes. Larry, off season, please give us Larry's word of the week. Thank you. I am aware that Larry went through a bald stage, but Bald Larry is such a jump scare.
Yes.
And there was a lot of Bald Larry for a minute and a half of this film. And yes, very, very much a jump scare.
Yes.
Good job, hair transplant doctor, because, yeah, great work.
Yes.
Great work.
It was very much
turkeys.
so a contrast then to the Dries portion, where it was just baby Dries that looks like a frat boy. It was a complete 180 of vibes.
Yeah. And then, so, like we said, this film was actually about Le Mans, not about, Larry being bald and teaching us words. It was chronicling this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans and kind of both of their journeys. And I know we're never going to know the answer to this, but I really want to know exactly what PPM screwed up on car number 6 in qualifying at Le Mans. Like, I know what technical violation they got, and it has to do with the BOP weight, but, like, how badly did they screw up the BOP weight? And then, like,
how much?
I've also seen, like, reputable people online say it was the driver ballast that was wrong, which I don't know. I don't know who's the heaviest in that car, honestly, whether it's Kevin or Larry. And I don't know who would have been doing the, like, there was normal qualifying and then the Hyperpole 1, Hyperpole 2. And I don't know if they just had the ballast set up wrong for who was actually in the car, or was there a chance that it wasn't supposed to be Kevin in the car and they decided to put, like, was it something like that? Because that's kind of understandable, I guess. But, like, the way that the technical infringement came out was the actual violation they had was that they screwed up BOP weight, which just seems bizarre. I still, and this is really mean of me to say while we're reviewing the Larry documentary, but I still maintain that this was actually a blessing in disguise for the car, because I don't know that they would have been where they were at the end of the first hour had Kevin qualified top 5, which is probably what he would have done. Like, had they gone all the way through qualifying Hyperpole 1, Hyperpole 2. I don't know that they would have been in second when the car changed hands, because Kevin drove like an absolute madman and yeah, I guess I'm technically skipping ahead in the film review, but this isn't really the film review, this is just me talking about Kevin. Shocker to everybody.
Wow. We didn't see that coming.
Who would have thought?
No, like, I am not convinced that the car would have benefited any from qualifying better, because it would have been Larry taking the start like he does in every WEC race. He would have maintained position in the first hour like he does in every WEC race. And yes, what Kevin did was a lot higher risk, but he put them in an incredibly competitive position after the first hour that I don't know that they would have been in had everything gone normal. And I know that, like, everybody in all of our group chats disagrees with me on this, but it is what it is to me.
Everyone's gonna have their own opinions and feelings and thoughts about the situation. At the end of the day, you can't know. So, that's that. But back to our chronological order of things, I guess. Dries, as a typical sibling, took an opportunity to roast his brother by calling out the fact that they can't hang out to go get barbecue because Larry has an early bedtime of 9:30, and Dries would not be asleep by then. So,
does Le Mans have good barbecue? Like,
I was
this
also
is
confused by that.
now something that I question, and also Larry and PPM might not be in WEC next year, but Dries and BMW still will be. I don't really like barbecue, but Dries, I am down to go get good barbecue in Austin next year. Since, we've failed with Kevin and Chili's, so let's, like, move on to Dries. I also may, in fact, be going to all the IMSA races next year, so let's do, like, a traveling tour of podcasters get barbecue or something. I don't know.
I look forward to this segment.
Yes, I look forward to it, but I also was very confused about the choice of barbecue, because I was like, if I had to pick food to get in France, I'm not getting
Crepes.
barbecue. Like, I'm sorry, but that's not
Maybe
like
there's
my
a fantastic
first option.
barbecue joint in Lamar or in one of the like surrounding places. Somebody's just cranking up a massive smoker in the middle of the fields in France. That's obviously what is going on.
No, it's obviously like somebody from Texas moved to France, and they're making the barbecue.
Like a smoke wafting up from in between the trees, and you just know that's where the good spot is.
Well, and then we had the big, like, we're really good at not crashing into each other anymore segment, where Dries and Larry both pretended like they have totally learned from their past mistakes. And, like, how many angles of the Nürburgring crash did we have to see?
A lot.
Because,
Yes.
yeah, that was a lot. Has Manti gotten over that yet? Is Larry allowed to drive the Grello at the Nürburgring? Like, because I don't think what he did this year, not in the Grello, you know, in qualifying, inspired confidence to put him, you know, back in the car for next year.
Oof.
I mean, at least he didn't flip over another car. He just crashed himself. So, you know, neither of them are doing great, him or Kevin. But, you know, it's okay. It's all good. Let's just put the Bash Brothers in the Grello.
You know, they can be the new Super Smash Bros.
Yes.
Oh dear.
Sure. And you know what? If we put Max in there with them, he likes crashing into cars as well.
Yeah.
So they're either going to win or they're going to DNF. There is no in between.
Those are
Win
your
it
two
or
options.
bin it.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. I will say Larry did a really good job at Petite when he was doing one of his stints in the 6 at not crashing into Dries when he definitely could have tried to, because he just like calmly drove around behind Dries for the whole stint, which was, you know, very good and mature of him. So maybe he has learned, in fact, from his previous errors.
Or maybe he heard us at Petite yelling in the forest that they shouldn't crash into each other, because we did, in fact, yell that in the forest at Petite. I still think we do need to get them on board of our idea from Petite of they need shared radios, and that needs to be broadcasted.
Yes, I do want them to have... No, what I want them to have is little walkie-talkies, like from 1999, and they just, like, they're driving, and they have to pick up the walkie-talkie and press the little talk button, and they can talk to each other. It would be very Top Gear of them, actually.
Yes. But I need something, you know? They have to, in some way, have shared radio communication that gets broadcasted for everyone.
This would be great. IMSA, hire us for our ideas.
Yes.
Because we've got a great season-long series for you.
Push to talk, and then you get a whole lot of garbled speech. Quality.
Yeah. Here's the part where I was supposed to talk about Kevin's first stint. Because they did show Kevin's first stint in the film. There was a lot of Kevin in this film, actually, because I'm quite convinced that WEC / the ACO can't make a video without including a little montage of Kevin looking stressed. Because it exists in every single full access film, and it was in this film, so, like, how about we don't do that?
Yeah. It also, like, they showed Matt just, like, sitting there in, like, his full helmet, like, suit, everything. And even he looked stressed despite having a literal helmet on. Which then I was like, can we stop with just, like, the stressed out shots of the 6? Which I then promptly decided I will take stressed out shots of the six over depressed shots of the six, because then it cut to them all being depressed in the garage afterwards when they got second.
Yeah. I, I still feel like if you had gone to all of them before the season started and been like, you're going to get on the podium at Le Mans, they all would have been like thrilled about that. But it comes down to the way the race played out.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna go a little off script here. I think it's the same reason that people feel the way they do about Kyle Larson's championship from this weekend. Like, the outcome isn't necessarily what made them upset. It's the way it played out. It's the fact that they drove a perfect race. It's the fact that, everything was outside of their control. Well, the same thing with the NASCAR outcomes this weekend. I don't think anybody is mad at the drivers for the outcome. I think everybody's just a little upset at the way it happened. And whether that's because of the playoff system or whether that's because of, and I'm going to say it, unfair BOP, it's kind of all the same thing.
That's a very good point.
Yep.
Is this because I saw a picture of sad Kevin and sad Denny Hamlin on Twitter immediately before we started recording, and that's been playing around in my brain since then? Yes, it entirely is that. I already lost the tweet. If I find it again, we'll retweet it. But, yeah. And then I had a couple just general thoughts to kind of close out the film review. I know that Dries and Larry have been doing a little better at behaving themselves, but I do think if they're both full-time in IMSA next year, there's going to be at least one crash that takes both of them out of a race. And that's going to have huge championship implications, because if you look at it, like, this year, Larry's car was in second going into Petit, and Dries' car was in, third going into Petit? And they ended up finishing third and fourth. Or fourth and fifth. Like, they not because of anything either of them did, but that just shows how much swing there is in these races. And if the two of them in really competitive cars that are finishing in the top 5, cars that are winning races, are potentially taking each other out, that is going to impact the championship.
Yeah, I was gonna say the 7 is like your clear example of that this year. So
yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And then when this film was made, I think the tone of it was intended to be very different than what the tone ended up being with when it was released. Because they obviously filmed all of this stuff at Le Mans when it was still fully expected that this brother versus brother thing that they had set up was going to continue for years and years. And now, I mean, at least next year, it's not going to. And my big takeaway from it is that there is no way that Larry stays with Porsche after next year. I know he's announced for 2026 he will be with Porsche, but I think the pull of Le Mans is going to be too strong for him. I will say I think the same thing's true about Kevin. I don't think either of them, even if Porsche keeps the 963 program going in IMSA, I don't think either of them stay at a program long term that does not have a WEC team, because both of them want to win Le Mans. Like, overall. Like, that is both of their life goal, essentially. And no matter how much loyalty they might have to Porsche, that the pull of Le Mans is going to be too strong.
Yeah, that's undeniable, pretty much. I think At some point, it's what some people have said in other situations, like sometimes loyalty is gonna keep them from achieving something, so they might just
Oh,
jump
like
ship.
Charles Leclerc.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
that's a
Say
very
that
good
dude's
example.
probably
I
example number one.
genuinely think that Charles Leclerc is a world championship caliber driver if he is in a world championship caliber car, which Ferrari has not delivered to him except for 1 year he was there.
Yeah.
There was 1 year that he was in a car that could have won the championship, but he is so loyal to Ferrari that to his own detriment, he is staying with a team, hoping that they will somehow magically create a car that can win him a championship. So, yeah, I mean, I don't want to see Larry and Kevin fall into that same situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the fact that most of them have been rumored about being in talks with other teams is just a kind of good indicator of how much Le Mans is of a draw for them.
I feel like Kevin hasn't been rumored for being in
Kevin, I feel like
contact
of all of
with
them has
any teams,
been the
but
least.
you know, I'm okay if Kevin just wants to do IMSA forever because I live in the US and that means I can go to more races. But
Sorry,
no,
it's your face when you said that just got me.
I was trying to recreate
But
that painting.
That's what I thought. You know, that's where my brain went. So like, you achieved what you were wanting of your outcome.
Once again, watch us on YouTube so you can see all of this ridiculousness that we are referencing.
Yeah. My amazing faces. My final thoughts about this film, and I'm gonna be very brief, but you kind of expected I would say this, is props to whoever chose the soundtrack for this one, because it was very much on point. Thank you.
There was no Brazilian, trap music that was inappropriate language.
They didn't let Larry choose the soundtrack.
Larry wasn't in charge of audio.
So, jumping from WEC to a championship that has not yet started again, but somewhat sticking to the PPM grand theme of things. High Class Racing, which is an LMP2 team, and showed off their colors for the 2025-26 Asian Le Mans Series last week. And something that caught everybody's attention was the fact that their car is, or should I say, will be white, black, and red, and the front of it has some white stripes, thin white stripes that hark back to a certain car number 6. Is that a coincidence?
Yeah,
I am showing my Instagram post that I did about it.
It is a blatant copy of the 963.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just a little bit of, it's significantly different other than it has a red hood with white stripes. But
from the one angle they showed of it, it was like, this is the 963. And that was like the one angle I feel like all of Twitter saw, because like the amount of tweets I saw that were just rip off 963. 963 and Asian Le Mans. Like, there were just so many people making this connection because of the one angle that they posted for the announcement.
Then I guess sticking with the Asian Le Mans series, we have another, I guess, cheat code being played. Joel Sturm was in this situation last year where he, for 2024, was a silver graded driver and then upgraded to gold for this year. And this year, for 2025, Loke Hartog is silver graded and is being upgraded to gold for 2026. But because the Asian Le Mans Series is a 2025-2026 season, they go based on your 2025 grading. So it's a great way to have a gold rated driver in your silver spot.
Hey, if there's a loophole that you can take advantage of that's been written in, take advantage of it.
You basically just
For
described
sure.
motorsports. Look for the lookholes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And then 2 weeks ago we said happy birthday to Matthew Jaminet. And last week we said happy birthday to Kevin Estra, the third member of the 2024 IMSA car number 6 has a birthday. Nick Tandy is turning 41 on the 5th, so happy birthday, Nick.
What is going on? Like, do they pick who's driving for them based on their astrological sign or something?
I've determined it's like July to like November. They're like, you are a PPM driver, and then Matt just kind of like snuck in somehow. They were like, okay,
Snuck in somehow.
because he's the only one that's like not in that like range.
Yeah.
But speaking of Jam, it was announced also that the rumor that's been going around of him leaving Porsche is true, and this upcoming race weekend will be his last as a Porsche driver. So, it's sad, but thanks for everything, Jam.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. I know all the rumors are Genesis, and I feel like there may be other things in play because it does seem weird for Porsche to have made that announcement and then Jam to have made that announcement, but there not be another announcement immediately after it. I thought that, this was some sort of announcement because Genesis is going to be doing testing immediately after Bahrain and they wanted him in the car, but that seems like something that they would have announced now that, he has announced he's leaving Porsche. But that announcement hasn't been made. There are a lot of potential open seats. One just showed up at Peugeot. There's likely at least one, if not two, at Alpine. There's one for sure at Cadillac.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places that he could end up that aren't Genesis. There's also the 2027 programs. McLaren's on the table, Ford's on the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, this Jam to Genesis rumor obviously, has a strong grasp on the internet. But is it true? I mean, I think it makes sense that that's where he would go.
I think it makes the most
They
sense.
have an announced IMSA program, which I think is a big part of it. They're the only one of the new teams that has an actual announced IMSA program.
So
and
far.
I think we've seen this year that he is a very good dual program driver.
Yeah.
So I think that is probably the most likely thing.
Yeah. It's also one where I wouldn't be surprised, one, that we see more announcements come out of drivers leaving programs in the next few days, and also seeing the other side of announcements come out in the next few days, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably so. Then I was, because, the BOP table for Bahrain got leaked over the weekend and then it actually officially got released today. But I was looking at just the numbers and then someone posted last year's table as well. And something that was really striking to me, and I think is a huge part of why whatever the balancing program they're doing for next year is not going to be the same as what they've done, or even similar, it sounds like, to what they've done the past 2 years, is because of how insanely heavy these cars have gotten. Like the only two cars that gained weight from last year to this year in the single digit amount are Alpine, which gained 8 kilos, and Peugeot, which gained 3 kilos. Obviously, Toyota lost weight. They're down 3
What do you mean they're on a
kilos.
diet?
Right?
Who
I didn't know
allowed
it was
that?
possible
Yeah.
for Toyota to lose weight, but they did since last year. But BMW is up 18 kilos, Cadillac's up 25, Ferrari's up 11, and Porsche is up 13. Now, if you look at that in terms of kind of comparative balance of performance, like how those cars did last year versus what their comparative weight is this year. So, like, Ferrari's 11 kilos heavier, Porsche is 13 kilos heavier. That's actually not as big of a difference as I think I expected from what it was last year. Obviously, within this year, like, Porsche is the heaviest they've ever been. But it's not like Ferrari lost a ton of weight since the last round. They're not suddenly in the 1030s and going to be like they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
I do think that Porsche is going to struggle. I don't know how well that car is going to perform weighing 1,069 kilos. That is very heavy for a very weight sensitive car.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know that Ferrari is going to really benefit from going from, 1069 to 1064? Like, that's still an incredibly heavy car.
Exactly.
Both of these cars may be struggling mightily, which, I mean, Ferrari just needs Porsche to not win the race, ultimately. So, anything that isn't helping Porsche helps Ferrari.
I know what I need to happen though. I have, I side with the prancing horses, but I do have a side over. I've chosen a side over there, so I need something to help out the yellow car.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
but
was math with Nicole.
yes, yeah, math with Nicole. Which I actually went and did the math because I was gonna try and wing this and like do math in my brain live on the recording, and I thought, that sounds like a really bad idea. So I gave myself notes for math with Nicole. But yes, as we know, Lauren Heinrich is in fact going to be racing for PPM this upcoming weekend in car number 5, which is awesome. But as I have given him crap for multiple times this season, he is globetrotting, just driving Porsches in every series that possibly exists. And the Thailand Super Series is one of those. He's been doing that all year. I think there was like 1 or 2 races that he missed. But this past weekend, he won and came in second, along with his teammate, in the 2 races, and the car that he's been driving all year won the championship. His teammate is the driver's champion, and that car is the champion for the year. So yeah, just Lauren doing more Lauren things, because, he's an overachiever and everything.
I think he can't be in one place for too long. So he just has to find something to do somewhere else. And
Yeah.
that's why he's just constantly on the move.
Yes. I think that might be true. If he is in IMSA again next year, which I expect him to be, if he made fun of me this year for going to the few races that I went to this year, when I show up potentially at all 8 rounds next year, he's really going to make fun of me.
Yes.
But in case it is the swan song of the 963, I need to be there for the whole thing. Kind of sort of sticking with sports cars a little bit. But also kind of sort of NASCAR. NASCAR is doing a showrun type thing at Fuji. Some sports car names like the Garage 56 NASCAR from Le Mans 2023 and associated driver Jimmy Johnson are going to be there. I like how I just made all of that into sports cars and not NASCAR. 7-time NASCAR champion Jimmy Johnson is a sports car driver.
I was about to say, as if he isn't, like, considered, like, the GOAT. Like, one of the GOATs of NASCAR.
Kamui Kobayashi is also going to be there. He is, in fact, a sports car driver.
Wait a minute.
As his, like, main job.
Didn't Jimmy and Kamui share a Cadillac in some Endurance Cup rounds a few years ago when he was a Daytona prototype still? The DPI era?
I think they may have.
I was like, that sounds right.
That sounds right. I can't say
I just remembered
100%. I'm really bad with lineups, but yes, that does sound right.
I just remembered it.
And then John Hunter Nemechek's going to be there. He is another NASCAR name. And then there's more like Toyota and NASCAR people that I'm not super familiar with who they are that are going to be there. So, like, I'm not going to talk about them because I don't know who they are.
Yes. All I know about them is they're driving ARCA cars.
Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah. That was just like the
like
only
ARCA
thing I
has
knew.
the best car, honestly, so go off.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, that's a move. And you know what? I support it. But besides that, I was like, I have never heard of you. So, sorry.
I do believe everybody is Toyota affiliated, given that Fuji is owned by Toyota. I believe this is like a Toyota thing, like...
Yeah. It would be weird otherwise.
Yeah, which this is when I remind everyone, Jimmy Johnson's team he owns is Toyota. That's why he's there, despite the car not being Toyota.
It was making my brain do weird things. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And then, oh yeah, his team is Toyota affiliated. Woohoo.
Yes.
Go my brain tonight.
Was he in the Cadillac hut at Coda? Yes, he was. But like everyone was in the Cadillac hut, so
the funnier thing though about that was he was wearing his NASCAR team's shirt in the Caddy hut.
Yes, he did have a Legacy Motor Club shirt on in the Caddy hut.
Yeah.
But yes.
Very appropriate. I have to say though, still going on about what happened way in the past. The first thing I thought when I saw NASCAR and Fuji and exhibition runs and things like that was when they ran like exhibition races at the Otegi Oval, I think. I'm not sure if that was in the 1990s or the early 2000s, but I was like, that would be something interesting if they decide to somehow do exhibition stuff again, but I'm not sure that's ever going to take off again. But still, just think about it, NASCAR. There is a whole world out there.
That would be awesome.
They need to start first, though, with going back to Mexico, and, then we can branch out more.
And then more NASCAR people doing sports car things. Brad Keselowski wants to own the upcoming Ford GTP team, or I guess not even upcoming, rumored Ford GTP team, because Ford has only actually announced that their LMDH will be competing in WEC, not in IMSA. So, That's awesome, though, but it's probably going to be him versus some, like, mega names, because I've heard Chip Ganassi and Roger Penske's names thrown around with this Ford program.
Such
So,
slouches they are.
take that to mean what you will about why I might think that Kevin and Larry may not be long for being with Porsche if Roger Penske is looking at potentially being a service provider for a Ford team in 2028, 2029. And no, before anybody asks, this is not something that some secret someone that you all seem to think I have has told me. This is just me putting together, like, rumors that I've heard. Because I swear half the people on the internet think I work for Porsche or for PPM. I do not work for Porsche or for PPM. Do you think they would let me say half the stuff I say on this podcast?
I was about to say that. I was like, do you think this podcast would be the way it is?
Think, people, think.
Like, come on, people.
Like, I don't... I hate that I even need to clarify that, because I've had so many people reach out to me assuming that, like, when I throw out a wild theory, that I actually know something, because they think that I like, work for the team. And I don't work for the team. I am just a fan. I'm a big fan, but I'm just a fan.
Yeah, fan who's very invested in the comings and goings of whoever of her favorite drivers, and also, someone who loves to wargame lineups.
I love wargaming lineups. It's my favorite thing.
Yes,
and
it's fun.
Just, like, I have a lot of fun with it, and I didn't think that anybody was going to take it seriously until all of a sudden people were taking it really seriously. Like, guys, I don't know anything. Like, I made a joke about Kevin and Larry going to Toyota. I do not have any proof that Kevin and Larry are going to Toyota. I just think that it would make sense if PPM shut down entirely after 2026, because Porsche doesn't seem to want to spend money. So, like, if they were going to go somewhere, there are two teams that have won Le Mans recently. And that's Ferrari and Toyota, and I am not sending Kevin and Larry to Ferrari in my wargaming, so that is why I'm sending them to Toyota in my wargaming. There is no secret information, there is no ulterior motive. It is literally just I do not want to send them to Ferrari.
Yeah.
And those are the two viable options, are Ferrari and Toyota.
I was gonna say, if you were going to believe all the wargaming we've done on this show, the places drivers would be in would be insane. Matt would
there
be
would be
NASCAR,
a super team.
Like,
I don't care what team it is, but
like, none of them would
Renner
make sense.
and Kevin would be teammates somewhere. If we are letting me create a lineup, we are getting Renger and Kevin in a car together. It would be a very chaotic car. I don't care. I would love it. Like, thank you. Please put my two favorite drivers as teammates. That would be fantastic.
Yeah. All to say, don't believe
I keep on
any
forgetting
of
that
our
Lauren
wargaming.
is an LMDH driver now. Okay, he can be their third person in the car. Fantastic. All three of my favorite LMDH drivers in one car. This is going to be a real issue next year if the PPM lineups are what I think they are, because I'm going to have one of my favorite drivers in one car, one of them in the other car. The Unk car and the Youth's car.
Yes.
I am going to make a shirt for car number 7. If it is the lineup, I think that, like, 6 people in the whole world will get, but it will be a My Cousin Vinny reference, and it will say 2 Utes, and it will just be them. Dad, that was for you because I believe we actually made that joke recently.
That's great, but it's so true.
I'm just pretending I
yes,
understand everything, and I'm nodding my head.
go watch My Cousin Vinny, Aries. It's a great movie. When we are done with this is not an ad because I'm not being paid by a movie to promote it, but My Cousin Vinny is one of the greatest movies ever made.
I was gonna
So
say
go
it's also
watch it.
not a recent movie either.
No,
to,
it's
like,
not a
be
recent
pa-
movie at
to
all.
be like having us paid to make an ad for. So,
But my not an ad is everybody. If you have not seen My Cousin Vinny, go watch it. You could also just like go on the internet, look up Marissa Tomei's courtroom like testimony scene. It's amazing. It's car related, so this is fantastic. Everybody go watch this.
We're having
That was like
We're
the
having-
most non-drinking game drinking game ever because it had nothing to do. I got distracted off of talking about Kevin and on to talking about a different topic. It was reverse drinking game.
unprecedented
So
stuff
water.
happening tonight.
hydrate.
I think it might start to snow outside after this. Oh,
Where's the polar bear?
in Arlington. Well, not wanting to, getting this train back on the right track. Not wanting to delve too much into it, but I thought, it was something completely out of the blue until I did a bit of looking up history, and actually, Keselowski's team was historically involved with IMSA, so and that was something interesting to find out. So, Ford, wake up.
I'm just saying, I'd be here for it, and the amount of like silly content that team would be forced to make is up there because Brad's the one who's done multiple videos in his race suit with shorts and no sleeves. So the options of silly content are high, and I need that. So
Felipe Nasser, that is your future if we're listening to my wargaming.
Does that mean I'm
Because that's where I have him going in my grand scheme wargaming.
I will say, in my wargaming of the silly Ford one I made, Matt also ends up there, so that's also in your future, Matt, in one of my silly wargames that we've done on the show. So multiple of you have the option of race suits that are shorts with no sleeves.
My final words about all this is that there is another name that could be looked at if Ford decides to do IMSA GTP, and that's Riley. Because they have experience, they have, some have been throwing them in the mix, and also they're switching in GTD next year to a Mustang, so they're going to be Ford affiliated. Just throwing it out there.
I mean, they did some impressive things this year with the limited running they had with the SC63 Lambo. So, like, I wouldn't count them out. If you had told me earlier this year, I would have said that sounds crazy. Like, how are you not going to go with Penske or Ganassi for that? But, like, Riley was impressive this year, so I gotta. They're an option. To make a terrible pun, you might even say they're a dark horse.
Oh dear God.
Unless they add, the glowing horse that Ford likes putting on cars, so who knows?
You loved my pun, Aries.
It was puns. Good.
I know you do.
I make terrible ones all the time.
Lots of dad jokes, too.
Yeah. Well, something that a lot of people were not joking about, especially after this weekend, was, obviously by this point, everybody knows what happened in NASCAR this weekend, this championship weekend, and it just kind of ignited the good old consistency versus spectacle debate, because, the whole who should win the title, someone who performs consistently across the whole 30-odd race season, or someone who games the system, like we've said, quote unquote games the system, because I feel like the people who were contesting the championship for at least were deserving of it this time. But people were saying, "Oh, well, this isn't what the sport should be all about." And well, social media is gonna social media, so it's been pretty much a very heated Cold War over there.
Hot take: Denny Hamlin was the least deserving between him and Larson.
Yes.
I know people are upset that Larson won the way he did,
Yeah.
but Denny Hamlin is the one who gamed the system. Kyle Larson, not using the Winston Cup point system, but using a full season, still including stage points system, would have been this season's champion using the full season format. So if your issue is that Jesse Love Jr. won instead of Connor Zilisch in Xfinity because Connor had the better season, then you should be applauding the fact that the guy who had the most points over the whole season, Kyle Larson, is the one who won the championship and cup. And
Yes.
nobody wants to have that conversation because Denny is a better story. And I agree. Denny is a better story, but don't say you don't want the spectacle and then be upset that the guy who literally was the spectacle lost.
Also, if you look at Winston standings, because they popped up on my phone today of somebody who did the Winston standings, still wouldn't be Denny. Denny wouldn't even be above Larson in it. Briscoe
would have been Christopher Bell.
It would have been Christopher Bell. But of the championship four that we got, it would have been Briscoe of the highest of those four. So even then, not Denny. So this argument is not valid. I get that you like a driver more than you like another, and I get a lot of people don't like Kyle Larson, but you can't avoid what the numbers literally say, which is at the end of the day, he had the most points of this season of any driver. So that's flat out. Also, for Jesse Love in particular, people have been saying how undeserving he is because he only got 2 wins, with this being his second win. To that, what I'm going to say is Jesse has 1 less top 10 finish than Connor and is the second best average finish of full-time drivers over the season in Xfinity. So saying that he is like way offline for being able to win this championship, if you look at the stats, it is not as insane that Jesse won this race as it is that people are trying to say. And in trucks, you can go ahead and you can be happy with that one because, Heim got the championship that he deserved, that everybody wanted. But really, at the end of the day, none of these finishes to me are that insanely out there to be like disappointed of the guy who won. Obviously, yes, Connor had like an insane season, but Jesse isn't undeserving just because he only got 2 wins this season. And speaking of Jesse, we're going down under. Jesse will be driving supercars. He's doing Super 2 in Adelaide with Image Racing, who have a pretty strong connection with RCR, which is his Xfinity team. So Whelan, who's like his main sponsor, is also joining him for this effort too. So everyone kind of assumed that it was going to be Connor going down under to do some supercars racing. That obviously was like expected but fell through. But we will have a NASCAR driver doing some racing over there, which is very exciting.
Love when that happens. And just a quick side note, that what happened this weekend has some people shaking in their boots right now because, ironically, this year Supercars adopted a final system. So, oops.
Yeah, they did.
It sounds like NASCAR is going to reevaluate the way the playoffs work. It doesn't sound like they're going to be getting rid of the playoffs. And I don't think that this past weekend's results have anything to do with why they're reevaluating the way the playoffs work.
No.
They don't care, and I think more people are talking about NASCAR right now, in this moment, on, Monday, November 3rd, than would be if it was a full season cumulative total championship. So for NASCAR, it's working.
Yeah.
Yeah. Along those lines too, Joey Logano did like a pretty good interview where he was talking to Petty, and Petty brought up how he's won like 5 championships in 5 different like systems of like how those championships were run, and how when people talk about him, they don't talk about how he's won 5 different systems, like the championship in 5 different systems. They just talk about how he's a multi-time champion. So really, we've changed the system so many times, and we've each time had this conversation of like, we need a better system. But at the end of the day, when you look back at guys who are champions, you aren't saying he won in this system and this system and this system and this system. You're just saying this guy's a multi-time champion. And we're never bringing up which exact system they won in. So this is a conversation we're constantly going to have, but long term, it's not really like a factor we'd really actually consider in conversation.
The only people that are going to care about this 50 years from now are motorsports historians. The average person is going to look and see that in 2025, Kyle Larson was the NASCAR champion. That's all that's going to matter. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram at Orange Flag Pod. On Twitter, Nicole is at Nicole on Racing, Austin is at Hendrick Claren, and Aries is at Aries_Alpenglove.
The orange.